in the previous video, I believe it was gluttony, sloth, and I think that was the only two I really talked about. The doom scrolling, which is gluttony, and the sloth, which is, knowing what's right in your spirit, but not doing what it takes, what is necessary to grow spiritually because you don't feel like it. So I'm not going to touch on those things. Probably not. I'm not sure. However, I will touch on lust. And I'm not going to go all about, all the 7 days. This fucking English, man. I'm not going to go on about all of the 7 deadly sins because that is just like overly long, and I really want to touch on the most important ones, the most prominent ones in today's society, especially in Gen Z. Now, not saying that all of the sins aren't important. However, the ones that are really detrimental to us is the ones that I'm going to speak on. Because you see a lot of videos touch on lust or whatever, but they don't touch on it in this way, which is what I'm about to do right now. So, moving on. So, I'm not really going to make the whole video about lust because it's not all about lust. It's really about temptation, right? We as a generation, yes, we, you and I, we are slaves to our temptation. Whether it's drug abuse, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's our phones, or porn addiction. Like the gooning, aka masturbation. It is a surge in that in Gen Z. You go on social media and all the entertainment pages you used to follow on Instagram or TikTok or whatever are now promoting OnlyFans models. OnlyFans everywhere. Titties and ass all over your screen. And it's trying to get you to give in to your lust. They are preying on your lust. The marketing, the advertisements, they want you to click because of how horny you are. It is essentially a distraction trying to keep you weak in an attempt to get you to give in to your most dangerous desires, your most detrimental ones, the ones you struggle with. However, I wouldn't say a lot of y'all are actually struggling with lust. I say that you've absolutely just given up because it's difficult. You don't want to try. And that's our problem with Gen Z today. We don't want to try. We don't want to do the things that are difficult in order to grow spiritually. You want prosperity, but you're not willing to walk the path of prosperity because it's uncomfortable to you. And whoever runs these social media platforms are clearly targeting your sins. They're targeting your desires. Think about Bad Baby, the artist. She made millions of dollars on OnlyFans just because she was Bad Baby. Because the men in our society, in our generation, are so gooned out and so horny, and they are slaves to their lust. They are willing to spend millions of dollars to see a half-naked woman. It's not even porn. It's just some girl in lingerie. Think about all these other models, and for starters, I don't use OnlyFans, but every time I get on social media, I see these people all the time. Sophie Rain or whoever the other ones are. These people are very pushed, very popular because they're trying to get you to give in to your lust. James chapter 1 verses 14 to 15. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. What does this mean? This means that you are killing your spiritual self. This is spiritual self-sabotage because you are giving in to your temptations and your desires. And your evil temptations and desires do not come from God. It comes from flesh. But we are living flesh lives when we are spiritual beings. And we were sent here to live, a spiritual life while also having a flesh experience. However, Gen Z has been brainwashed, confused, and led astray by social media, the influence of others, whether it's, a bad circle, whether it's music, whether it's TV shows, movies, etc. All these things are being pushed to you because you're consuming all of it, thinking that this shit is okay. And it's not. It's leading you away from the spiritual life you were sent here to live, what you were meant to live. Now, why is the lust detrimental to you? I just explained it, but I'll dive in on it a little more. So, we as men contain the seed of vitality. It's life force energy. And when you're watching porn, masturbating, gooning, whatever you want to call it, you are wasting this. And yeah, you got a bunch of it, right? So it's okay. No, it's not okay. This is something you hold on to. This creates life. You have that source of power within you, but you're wasting it on lust, on your temptations. You're using your God-given gift for pleasure, and that's not what it was meant for. Your semen is energy. It gives you strength. It helps you maintain strength. When you release it, you feel weak. You feel soft. You don't have the same energy and power you once had because you released so much of it. You become overly relaxed. You become lazy, unmotivated. You don't want to do anything anymore. Yeah, it feels good, right? But you lose all that drive you once had before then. And that's the trap that you are setting for yourself, and society is also set for you. That, it feels good, so it's okay. You can do this. They want you to be weak. They want you to waste your energy. They don't want you to be at your peak. They don't want your spiritual body to be strong. Moral of the story, man, Gen Z has a self-control issue. We lack discipline. We just don't have it. And I'm not sure if we ever have, discipline takes effort, it's difficult, so you don't try. You just let your desires corrode your spirit and take over, and your temptation takes the front wheel. We are driven by comfort and impulses, not thinking about the detriment it has to our spirits. We're only human, right? Like, no, you're not only human. Yeah, you may have flesh and skin or whatever, and you got blood pumping through your veins, and you got oxygen in your lungs, and you need that to live, correct? However, what is really producing the energy within your body? The body is essentially a suit of armor, But Gen Z isn't thinking this deeply. We are surface level. You have the eternal soul within your body. That is you. Your flesh and what you see on outside of yourself is not you. It is simply a vessel that you yourself are controlling. So you're not just human. We're actually so much more than that. We have superpowers. We're supernatural, you could say. That's why you have dreams. You can basically get as close as possible to death without actually dying. When you go to sleep, your soul leaves your body. Why do you think you can see all this shit? You can fly, you got super strength, you got super speed, you got all types of these abilities and dreams. You're visiting different realities and seeing different timelines, and you're seeing the future, etc. We have that ability because we are supernatural. That is in our spirit. That is our spirit. Your spirit leaving your body when you dream, that's called astral projection. You're able to essentially travel outside of this dimension. You have connection to the source. which is God. He can communicate to you, with you, a being not even of this reality, not even of this dimension, but he can still communicate with you and you can communicate with him. So how are you only human? But we're not thinking like this. And that brings me to the next topic, which is what I wanted to talk about in my last video, and I did actually talk about that, and it was Gen Z having a substance abuse problem. Gen Z relies on alcohol and drugs, etc. They use it as a crutch to get through life, to get by. And it's sad because that is also temptation. It's not good for you, obviously. Think about it like this, right? You get drunk, you get high, you're basically possessed. It's not you. You do things that you normally wouldn't do if you were sober. Think about all the drunk driving accidents. How many people die? How many people the drivers that were drunk killed because they weren't in their right mind? You do things that you would normally do if you're sober, and then you wake up the next day hungover, and they're like, yo, why'd you do this? What possessed you to do that? And then they say, oh, I wasn't in my right mind. Exactly. You weren't in your right mind because you weren't there. It wasn't you. An outside substance brought you to do that. And when you get in these positions where you are intoxicated, you open up the door to be possessed by demons and negative, dark spirits. Like, I used to drink a lot when, I'm 23, right? When I was like 18 all the way to 20, I drank a lot of alcohol because I was depressed, right? I was drowning my sorrows, like they like to call it. And I didn't really know how bad it was until one day I got drunk and I was talking to this girl at the time, and she had said something to me and it kind of pissed me off. And so normally, I'm a pretty cool dude. I'm chill, I'm nice to everybody, I'm kind and respectful to women, especially women, because that's how I was raised. But the alcohol had me talking crazy, I disrespected her and I went off on her. And when I sobered up, I saw what I had texted her and I was like, damn, I feel bad. I shouldn't have said that. And for starters, it wasn't nothing sexual. Like, I wasn't overly freaked out or nothing. I wasn't trying to get no, no action. And she said no, that wasn't the case at all. However, I did say something very disrespectful to her that I normally would not have said if I was sober. And that's when I realized I had to stop, At the same time, I was, I had a lot of anxiety in social settings. I couldn't function without drinking alcohol. Myself, I am a very introverted person. I'm very antisocial. And when I go out with family, I usually don't talk to them because I just don't fucking know how. I used to not know how, But I started to rely on alcohol to help me get through those situations. And so every time, I would go out with my family, I'd be like, yo, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink. And then I drink, and then I'm like this completely different person. I'm not even myself. Or maybe I'm different, like, aspects of myself that are just being focused in that moment. I'm loosened up, I'm super laid back, I'm joking around, I'm laughing, etc. I'm just happy. However, that happiness that I'm feeling, it wasn't generated organically. It didn't come from me. It came from an outside source, an outside substance. And when I was sober, I couldn't be that person because it wasn't me. And so I had to basically just tell myself, hey man, no more alcohol. You can't keep drinking because you are not this person. And if you want to be this person, you got to let go of that alcohol. And it was difficult, I was basically an alcoholic. I was so sad and so depressed that drinking was the only outlet for me. That was the only thing that was helping me be happy, but it wasn't happiness. It was only a distraction, you know? It's a distraction and an excuse not to heal, not to fix what's broken inside me. And that's Gen Z's problem today. We're all running away from our problems. You end up at the bottom of a bottle of Don Julio because you got your heart broken. Oh, you can't function in a social setting, so now you gotta smoke. You got anxiety and depression, and now you need something else to distract you, to get your mind off of it. Getting your mind off of it is not the way. You need to heal, and you need to be sober to do that. And you know why you're not healing, you're not getting better? It's because you're using temporary quick fixes to heal yourself, and it's not healing. You think it's healing, you think it's working, but once it's over, once the high is gone, once the soberness kicks in, you feel like shit again. And that is what generates and creates the cycle. It's perpetual, it's non-stop, it's never ending, it's endless. We're constantly chasing that high, constantly chasing that dopamine fix, because it is a distraction from ourselves. It numbs the pain. However, the numbness is only temporary. It comes back every time. Life is too stressful. Oh, life is too hard for me. It's too much pressure, so I need to masturbate. I need to release. Oh, I got anxiety. I suffer from depression, so I need to get high. I need to get faded. No, you need God. But you're not ready for that answer. You don't want that answer. You want to suffer from your addiction. You want to keep giving in to your temptation. A lot of y'all want your life to change, but you're not willing to change your life. And this is why nothing's working. Because it's temporary. You need something everlasting. You want permanence, but you're not willing to walk the path to get permanence. You want solidification, but you're not willing to do what it takes to solidify your spiritual strength. You need God. God is everlasting. God is eternal. But you want shortcuts. You want a loophole. There is no other way around it. There are no shortcuts. There are no loopholes to spiritual prosperity. There is only the way, and that way is through God. The only way is through. And that is the path you must walk. But anyways, I may touch more on this in the future, but I'm going to end the video off here. So I hope you received the message that I'm trying to push, that I'm trying to spread. You know, I'm really just trying to fight the war on spirituality, man. Like, this shit's really gotten out of hand. And I'm not scared for myself, because at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be okay. And I can't save everyone, you know. It's not necessarily my responsibility, but it is my responsibility. In my heart and my soul, it is my purpose to at least spread the knowledge and the wisdom that was given to me by God. And I want everyone to have that, you know. So anyways, like I said, I hope it was well received. I hope you got something out of this. And I hope you took heed to what I'm trying to say, because this shit is really important, you know. So anyways, thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate y'all. God bless y'all. And like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. And peace out, man. I'm glad it's my last game. I ain't gonna lie, he playing like it's my last game too. Playing like it's his last game, bro. Cry about it. Your ass back down here.
Excuse me? Bro. Okay.
Oh,
They took his
shit.
hitboxes are out of here.